gather here, esteemed leaders from epochs and nations diverse, to dissect the singular event known as Brexit. Through our discussion, let us enlighten the path ahead with the lanterns of our collective wisdom.
Indeed, let us cast light upon this matter, for as the unity and division of realms are familiar to me, so too are they key to understanding Brexit's profound implications.
I, the allegory of unity. In my time, I sought to meld cultures and kingdoms under a single banner. Unity and diversity was my creed. Yet I ponder if such amalgamation is sustainable when the souls of men yearn for autonomy.
Sovereignty and autonomy, you say, Alexander? Rome too flourished by granting autonomy within the framework of empire. But let us not be naive. The balance is precarious. Brexit underscores the limitations of supranational unions, much as our own experiences taught us.
On this matter of Brexit, I cannot help but reflect upon the principle of self-rule, a cause for which I tirelessly worked. True cooperation among nations must be anchored in mutual respect and voluntary association, not in the compulsion of union.
Brexit, indeed, is a stirring call to remember our past and rethink our future. A people's right to self-determination is paramount, as history oft reminds us. Yet the road it beckons is fraught with uncertainties and challenges untold.
Each of us has, in our own right, navigated the treacherous waters of leadership and the arduous path of governance. Brexit, as we have begun to unravel, is more than a political event. It is a marker of change, a beacon signaling the need for thoughtful analysis and bold leadership.
As we continue this discourse, let us bear in mind not only the immediacies of political and economic convenience, but also the deeper currents that shape the fate of nations. The quest for identity, the spirit of independence, and the perennial dance between unity and sovereignty.
Let us then, without delay, engage with the heart of this matter. For if history has endowed us with anything, it is the relentless pursuit of understanding amidst the cascade of change.
Agreed, for the study of Brexit is not merely academic. It is a lesson in the enduring virtues and vices of mankind. Let us proceed, then, with both caution and courage.
And let us not forget the spirit of peace and cooperation. Even as we discuss divisions and separations, may our conversation be a bridge across differing views.
A bridge indeed, but let us also not shy from speaking the hard truths. For in the crucible of debate, the purest of ideas emerge.
With those words, let us embark upon our journey through the varied landscapes that Brexit presents us, always mindful of the lessons history has imprinted upon our souls. Let us commence with a probing into the historical tapestry that led us to the event known as Brexit. Elizabeth, your reign saw England affirm its might and autonomy. Reflect, if you will, on the parallels between your era's pursuit of sovereignty and the recent severances within Europe.
Sovereignty, George, much like the virgin queenhood I proclaimed, is less about isolation and more about asserting one's strength and wisdom to chart their own course. In my time, we navigated through tumultuous seas of alliances and enmities, much like the modern European Union, yet always held England's autonomy as sacrosanct. The quest for independence is an eternal flame, burning through the annals of history.
Independence, you say, Elizabeth? My conquests united the world as known then, from Greece to the far reaches of India. Strong leadership meant bringing disparate states under a common cause. Yet nations today, much like the soldiers of old, eventually yearn to return home to their own hearth. The question stands, is it the natural order for unions to fray, for the desire of sovereignty to triumph over unity?
Unity, Alexander, is not merely the outcome of conquest or the imposition of a single will, but the alignment of mutual interests and shared goals. The Roman Republic, and later the Empire, thrived on incorporating the strengths of its provinces while maintaining a semblance of Roman identity. Brexit suggests not the failure of the idea of union, but the failure to maintain relevance and mutual benefit. Pragmatism, not ideology, should guide such alliances.
And yet, both of you speak from the pedestals of conquest and dominance. True cooperation among nations springs not from subjugation, but from mutual respect and the recognition of each nation's dignity. The European Union arose from the ashes of wars, aiming to weave peace through economic and political ties. Its challenges are not a call to abandon union, but to deeply introspect on its principles.
But Mahatma, recognizing a nation's dignity includes acknowledging when unity no longer serves its individual needs or aspirations. Britain's maritime adventures, much like its recent political journey, were driven by a quest for new opportunities and horizons, not constrained by continental bonds.
Opportunities, Elizabeth, arise as much from within as from without. My empire did not merely conquer, it connected worlds, ideas, and peoples. Perhaps what modern leaders fail to grasp is the art of maintaining such connections without stifling autonomy.
Indeed, Alexander, the art lies in negotiation and adaptation. Brexit, like the secessions of old, must be navigated with foresight and flexibility. A rigid union will break, while a flexible alliance adapts and endures. The challenge for any leader is to discern and direct this delicate balance.
A robust debate to commence our discussion. The echoes of history resonate through your words, revealing that the struggles of sovereignty, unity, and autonomy are far from modern inventions. They are as ancient as the leadership that molded our world. Let us carry these insights as we delve deeper into the essence and implications of Brexit in the segments to follow. Let us now turn our attention to the principles and values of sovereignty and autonomy within the international arena. Winston, your insights?
Sovereignty and autonomy are the lifeblood of a nation. During the Blitz, Britain stood alone, sovereign, despite the darkness that enveloped Europe. Autonomy demands resilience. But let's not be myopic. It cannot spell isolation. In times of peace, as in times of war, alliances are not just beneficial, they are crucial for survival and prosperity.
Resilience. Yet autonomy often leads to arrogance. My conquests taught me that empires thrive on integration, not isolation. Sovereignty is vital, but the pursuit of it should not blind us to the advantages of cooperation. Look at the Hellenistic period. Cultures blended and knowledge flourished. Autonomy? Yes, but with a keen eye on the benefits of unity.
Autonomy and sovereignty, you say? Rome ruled the world because it understood the balance between the two. We granted autonomy to our provinces, yet never did we relinquish sovereignty. This, gentlemen, is the art of governance. Without sovereignty, there is no order. Without order, there is chaos. Britain exiting the EU? A calculated move to regain order if executed with precision.
Sovereignty should not be a shackle that binds nations to the path of isolation. True sovereignty lies in the moral authority of a nation, its ability to lead by example, not by force. Nations must strive for autonomy, but not at the cost of abandoning their duty towards the global community. Independence is not isolation. It is the acceptance of a greater responsibility towards humanity.
The Virgin Queen speaks. In my time, sovereignty was our shield against the Spanish Armada. Yet it was our alliances that enriched our realm. Autonomy brought prosperity, but it was through our engagement with the world, not withdrawal. Heed my words. Autonomy need not mean severing ties. It means choosing them wisely for the good of the realm.
Elizabeth, while your era indeed exemplifies the strength in sovereignty, the world has evolved. The balance between national independence and global cooperation is more fragile than ever. Brexit is not about severing ties. It's about redefining them on terms that ensure sovereignty while recognizing mutual interdependence.
Interdependence, Churchill. My empire was built on the principle that the strong lead the weak. Yet even I cannot deny the power of alliances. They must be forged not out of weakness, but from a position of strength. Britain seeks not isolation, but a stronger stance from which to engage.
Indeed, Alexander, strength. But let us not forget, with strength comes the responsibility to lead. Britain must navigate the post-Brexit world with the wisdom of Augustus and the might of Mars. Autonomy is the first step toward establishing a new order, one where Britain, once again, can lead.
But we must question, what kind of leadership do we seek? One that towers alone, or one that stands with others? True sovereignty involves embracing the world, not shunning it. As I led India to independence, I dreamed not of isolation, but of a nation that could be a beacon of hope and harmony.
My lords, this debate has indeed traversed the spectrum of sovereignty and autonomy. Let us not forget, however, that in our pursuit of these principles, we must always hold fast to those values that define us: leadership, respect, and above all, a commitment to the welfare of our people.
A spirited discussion, no less. Each perspective sheds light on the intricate dance between sovereignty and autonomy. As history has shown, the path is rarely straightforward, but through discourse such as this, we navigate the complex waters of governance and international relations. Let us proceed then to the next segment, bearing in mind the profound insights shared. We now turn our attention to the economic implications of Brexit: trade, tariffs, and financial markets. How does Brexit reshape the economic landscape? Alexander, your conquests created one of the ancient world's largest trade networks. Your thoughts?
Indeed, my expeditions brought forth not only the spread of Hellenistic culture, but also a flourishing trade across continents. Brexit, in my view, is akin to drawing a new boundary on an existing map. The potential lies not in isolation, but in forging new alliances. Economic independence can be a powerful catalyst for innovation. The British Isles, once again, have the opportunity to navigate the vast oceans of trade without being tethered to the cumbersome chariot of the European Union.
Alexander, your perspective mirrors the ideal rather than the practical. My reign was defined by pragmatism in governance and economic affairs. Brexit presents undeniable challenges. Tariffs could disrupt established trade routes, and financial markets abhor uncertainty. Yet it's in these challenges that Britain must demonstrate its resilience. Negotiation and diplomacy will be key. Without the art of negotiation, Britain risks standing alone, much like Cato in the Senate, noble, yet ultimately on the losing side.
Gentlemen, your points are noted. But let us not undersell the spirit of resilience and innovation that has long defined Britannia. My reign encountered the Spanish Armada, yet we thrived, bolstering our naval strength and expanding trade to the New World. Brexit is but another chapter in England's storied history of navigating uncharted waters. By embracing innovation and maintaining our diplomatic grace, we can forge new paths of prosperity.
While the pursuit of economic independence is noteworthy, we must not overlook the impact on the common people. It is they who bear the brunt of tariffs and economic instability. True wisdom lies in ensuring that these changes do not widen the chasm between the rich and the poor. An economy thrives not when it amasses gold, but when it nurtures the well-being of its people.
Mahatma, your concern for the common man is admirable, but let us not be naively utopian. Britain has always adapted and overcome. The Blitz did not break the British spirit, rather, it solidified it. Brexit is merely a storm we must weather. Through grit and determination, we can turn this challenge into an opportunity. As I have said, difficulties mastered are opportunities won. We must be steadfast in our resolve, aggressive in our negotiations, and innovative in our approach to global trade.
Indeed, Winston, adversity often births greatness. The question is not whether Britain can adapt, but how swiftly and profitably it does so. In adapting to new economic realities, Britain must be as swift as Achilles and as cunning as Odysseus.
And let us not forget, in our dealings, the value of foresight. As I bridge the Rhine, Britain too must build bridges, figuratively, across seas, creating alliances that leverage its position as a nexus between old and new worlds. It's not enough to leave, one must also arrive.
A spirited discussion. It's clear economic independence and negotiation play critical roles post-Brexit. However, the path forward is fraught with complexity, requiring a balance of innovation, pragmatism, and most importantly, an unyielding commitment to the welfare of the populace. Let us proceed, keeping in mind the myriad opportunities and challenges ahead.
It's pivotal to understand the essence of Britain has always been sculpted by the valour and dreams of its immigrants. The Windrush generation, the Huguenots, waves upon waves, have not just built Britain, but they are Britain. Brexit, I fear, puts this legacy at risk, erecting barriers where we should be building bridges.
Indeed, Winston, and it is the acceptance and tolerance within a society that defines its true strength. A society that forsakes these values in the pursuit of isolation, fears diversity instead of embracing it. The strength derived from a multicultural society is immeasurable and indispensable.
While the tapestry of our nation is undeniably enriched by the threads of diverse cultures, maintaining a balance is essential. We must not lose sight of our own identity in the quest to be inclusive. Our sovereignty, our traditions, must not be eroded under the guise of progress.
Heroes of my time conquered lands far and wide, integrating cultures, ideas, and people. This did not weaken our identity, but rather, it was our capability to absorb and grow. Brexit seems a retreat into a shell, a denial of the global narrative that has only grown since my era.
Elizabeth, I concur that balance is necessary. But must we not also ask ourselves, what is the British identity you speak of, if not a mosaic of influences from across the seas? To barricade ourselves on this sceptred isle is to deny our own history, our own reality.
To fear diversity is to fear life itself. A country that stands tall does not wither by extending its hands in friendship, it only grows. Brexit, in its core as portrayed, seems a fear-driven response, a step backwards in a world that desperately needs to move forward together.
Yet, Mahatma, a nation must hold its sovereignty dear. There are ways to embrace both the world and our own heritage without sacrificing the latter for the former. Our history teaches us the importance of navigating these waters with wisdom and foresight.
Sovereignty, Elizabeth? I ruled an empire where cultures melded under my banner, proving that unity and identity are not mutually exclusive. What you term sovereignty, I see as isolation, a missed opportunity to lead in an interconnected world.
And let us not forget, it was our openness to allies, to cultures beyond our shores, that saw us through our darkest hours. Brexit threatens to unravel what generations have woven together, mistaking retreat for strength, isolation for independence.
True independence is found in the strength of one's character and the ability to respect and live harmoniously with all. This debate, this moment in history, demands of us to rise above our fears and prejudices. For in the end, it is our humanity that will define us, not our borders.
No one is suggesting a retreat from the global stage or the rich tapestry of cultures that have come to call Britain home. Yet, we must not be naive. Strategic autonomy and the preservation of our culture and institutions must guide our path forward. Brexit or no Brexit.
It appears we find ourselves at an impasse, not unlike the many I faced along my conquests. The true measure of leadership, however, lies in finding the path forward, one that honors both our shared future and our distinct pasts.
Our discussion reveals the complexity of Brexit's impact on immigrant communities and multiculturalism. It's clear that while we hold varied perspectives, the common thread is the aspiration for a society that respects both its identity and its place within the broader tapestry of humanity. Let us carry this understanding into our next segment. Let us now pivot to the use of referendums in democratic societies. Their efficacy and ethical dimensions in complex governmental decisions are ripe for debate. Alexander, your reign saw decisive leadership. How do you view the concept of direct democracy as seen through the lens of referendums?
In my time, decisions were made on the battlefield and in the council chambers, not in the public square. The concept of referendums is fascinating but flawed. A leader must lead, not follow. The masses are swayed by emotion, not strategy. Look at Brexit, a decision of this magnitude, complex and far-reaching, reduced to a simple yes or no by those who do not grasp the full scope of the consequences.
I beg to differ, Alexander. While I appreciate the decisiveness of leadership, the voice of the people cannot be ignored. I thrived on the support of the Roman people. Their will was my compass. Yet I caution, referendums should not be manipulated as instruments of populism. They require a well-informed populace, something gravely missing in the Brexit saga.
Both points carry weight, but we must consider the spirit of democracy. Referendums allow for a direct expression of the people's will, something I deeply respect. However, the ethical responsibility lies in ensuring that every voice is heard, not just the majority. And the minority, their rights must be protected, their fears allayed.
As a monarch, I might view the reliance on referendums as an abdication of leadership responsibility. Decisions such as Brexit are imbued with complexities that the general populace may not fully appreciate. It is the burden of the crown, or the government in modern terms, to navigate these treacherous waters on behalf of all, guided by wisdom and informed counsel.
Referendums, while ostensibly democratic, can sometimes undermine the very democracy they purport to uphold. Brexit, for example, has shown us the danger of divisive rhetoric and misinformation. Leadership means making the tough decisions, yes, but also guiding the ship of state through storms, not casting one's fate to the winds of public opinion.
The consensus here seems to be one of caution. Leadership appears paramount in navigating the complexities inherent in decisions of national import, with referendums serving as a tool, albeit one that requires judicious use and an informed electorate. We are now venturing into the complex terrain of negotiating withdrawal agreements and future relations post-Brexit. Julius, your strategic mind navigated Rome through many alliances and enmities. Begin us on this path.
Strategic foresight, George, demands adaptability, but above all, pragmatism. In my day, treaties were sculpted with the sharp chisel of pragmatism, not merely written. Brexit requires a blend of military strategy and political finesse. As I cross the Rubicon, so must Britain decidedly advance. Negotiating as though she were both lion and fox, strength and cunning must define her path.
Yet diplomacy alone often falls on deaf ears when not spoken from a position of strength. My conquests were not merely by force, but by forging alliances with those I defeated, incorporating them into my realm. Britain must not just negotiate, she must position herself as an indispensable ally to Europe, lest she finds herself isolated.
Both strength and cunning have their places, but let us not undervalue the potency of eloquence. The spoken word, crafted with care and delivered with conviction, can turn the tide of hearts and minds. My reign witnessed the flourish of the English language and the power it wields. In negotiating her future, Britain must employ diplomacy that is as much about charm as it is about strategy.
Force of personality aside, let us not neglect the stark realities on the ground. Britain faces a Europe that is, as I would put it, a riddle wrapped in a mystery inside an enigma. Yet there is a key. That key is national interest. Negotiations must cut through the Gordian knot, placing Britain's interests at the forefront, while ensuring Europe recognizes the mutual benefits of a pragmatic agreement. It's not a time for vagueness, but for the clarity and resolve of the bulldog spirit.
Coercion and imposition, whether by force or by sharp wit, can only lead to a brittle peace. True strength lies in the moral fortitude to stand for one's principles while respecting the dignity and sovereignty of others. Negotiations must not be seen as a battlefield, but as a bridge-building exercise, where mutual respect and understanding pave the way to a lasting accord.
Respect, Mahatma, is earned in the arena of world politics through displays of strength and cunning, not by merely appealing to higher ideals. Britain's negotiation will require the steel of resolve, the wisdom of experience, and, yes, perhaps the silver tongue of diplomacy. But make no mistake, it is a chess game where the keenest mind prevails.
Chess indeed, Caesar. But remember, the queen often proves the most versatile and powerful piece on the board. Britain must play her pieces with precision, understanding that it's not merely about surviving the game, but positioning herself to emerge stronger, respected, and truly sovereign.
As queen, I grasped the threads of diplomacy with a firm yet delicate touch. Britain's course demands similar finesse, strong alliances and partnerships rooted in mutual benefit, respect, and shared goals. The world is watching. Let it not be said that Britain faltered at this critical juncture.
Our discussion reveals the broad spectrum of strategic considerations in the Brexit negotiations. Strength, diplomacy, mutual respect, each holds value in charting the course ahead. Britain's path is indeed fraught with challenges, but also ripe with opportunity for those who navigate it wisely. Let's delve into the ramifications of Brexit on regional stability and European security. Winston, your perspective on the historical significance of European unity is well noted. Would you begin our discussion?
Indeed. Throughout history, European unity has been the bulwark against tyranny and aggression, a shield forged from the fires of shared adversity. Brexit, I dare say, poses a unique challenge to this unity. We stand on the brink of a fragmented Europe, once again. The absence of the UK in the EU's decision-making could unravel decades of collective security measures. It's playing with fire, and we're dangerously close to getting burned.
A fragmented Europe? Winston, you speak as though unity has always been Europe's natural state. I conquered lands far and wide to bring unity, yet these were held together by power and vision, not by indecisive committees. Brexit is not the beginning of fragmentation, but a symptom of the EU's failure to inspire loyalty and passion among its member states. Where there is no vision, the people perish.
Alexander makes a compelling argument. The real issue at hand isn't Brexit, but leadership, or the lack thereof. In my time, Rome faced its share of divisions, yet strong leadership always navigated us through tumultuous waters. The EU must strengthen its leadership and define a clear vision for its future. Without it, expect more members to question their place in the Union.
Strong leadership is essential, but so is diplomacy. Brexit underscores the necessity for adept negotiation, not just within Europe, but also on the global stage. England's sovereignty was maintained through cunning and diplomatic finesse, not brute force. The EU must learn to adapt and negotiate to ensure stability and security. The real danger lies not in Brexit itself, but in failing to address the underlying issues that led to it.
While leadership and diplomacy are critical, we must not overlook the moral implications of Brexit on regional stability. The values of peace, cooperation, and mutual respect are paramount. The European project was, at its heart, a peace project. It's distressing to see these ideals threatened by rising nationalism. Stability and security cannot be maintained by reverting to isolationism. They thrive on unity and cooperation.
Unity, Mahatma. Unity bought at the price of sovereignty is no unity at all. The EU's pursuit of an over-centralized government reminds me of the Persian Empire's hubris, vast, powerful, yet ultimately unsustainable. Brexit offers a crucial reevaluation of sovereignty and governance.
And yet, Alexander, your empire fragmented immediately upon your death. Is that the sovereignty you champion? Without cohesiveness and a shared vision, sovereignty merely paves the way to anarchy.
The capacity for self-governance and maintaining alliances are not mutually exclusive. The UK's history is proof of that. Brexit challenges us to redefine European security without compromising on sovereignty. Let us not forget, unity forged in the heat of adversity is stronger than any union created by mere convenience.
It's clear that Brexit serves as a critical juncture in Europe's history, bringing to the forefront the delicate balance between sovereignty, leadership, and unity. Our next steps, be they towards closer cooperation or redefined alliances, must be taken with a keen awareness of history's lessons. As we navigate the complexities of secessions and independence movements, let's draw from our histories. Elizabeth, your reign is acclaimed for navigating such challenges. Your insights?
The Tudor period was fraught with the specter of division, yet it was under my governance that England flourished. It required a stern hand and a cunning mind to preserve national cohesion. When dealing with secessions, one must not only focus on the immediate effects, but also foresee the long-lasting impact on the nation's fabric. It's not merely about maintaining power, but ensuring the prosperity and unity of the realm for generations.
Unity, you say, yet history remembers the conqueror. My empire, vast and unsurpassed, was built upon the idea that diverse states could be unified under a single banner. This was not simply an imposition of power, but a shared vision of prosperity. Brexit, while peaceful, reminds me of my efforts, bold, strategic moves towards autonomy. However, unity under force and unity by choice are distinct, and the latter is far more resilient.
Unity under a single banner, you claim, yet we both know the fragility of such constructions. My rule over Rome was not merely about conquest, but the strategic integration of the conquered lands into the Republic. It's this very pragmatism that's crucial in handling secessions. Withdrawal or independence must be managed not with lofty ideals, but with calculated steps that ensure stability. The Brexit debate lacks this Roman pragmatism.
And therein lies the fallacy of empires and forced unions. True unity comes from willing cooperation and peaceful coexistence, respecting autonomy and diversity. India's quest for independence was grounded in nonviolence and the moral imperative for self-rule. Brexit, or any secession for that matter, should be approached with the understanding that true strength lies in the peaceful assertion of autonomy, not the imposition of unity.
Peaceful assertion, you say, Mahatma, yet we must not forget the importance of force when necessary. Europe remained at peace through strength. Brexit indeed poses questions on unity and stability. However, it also allows for a re-evaluation of strength. European security, much like during the wars, requires clear leadership and sometimes the hard decision to stand alone. Independence movements must consider not just the moral high ground, but also the geopolitical realities.
Yet, we mustn't overlook the internal strife and division such movements often stir within a nation. My reign was testament to the importance of navigating these divisions with both grace and authority. The Brexit process could benefit from such an approach, balancing the need for assertive leadership with the imperative of national unity.
Internal strife, external threats, they all demand a leader's undivided attention. However, the ultimate form of governance, as I've demonstrated, is one that brings prosperity through unity, not division. The question Brexit raises is whether the present leaders possess the strategic foresight to achieve such a goal.
Foresight, indeed. The ability to foresee consequences and prepare accordingly was paramount to Rome's expansion and governance. Brexit, with all its uncertainties, required a leader capable of navigating through tumultuous waters, foreseeing the long-term effects on the nation and its place in the world.
And yet, we must never lose sight of the voice of the people. Leadership is not only about strategic decisions from the top, but also about listening and responding to the grassroots. The dignity of the individual and the community must remain at the forefront, regardless of the political or economic considerations at play.
A leader's primary duty is to secure the future of their nation, through whatever means necessary. Brexit has shown that the tides of independence and freedom still hold sway in the hearts of many. However, without strategic vision and robust leadership, such aspirations risk leading nations into uncharted and potentially perilous waters.
This discussion underscores the multifaceted nature of secessions and independence movements. From the strategic to the moral, the economic to the cultural, our own histories provide a wealth of insights into these complex phenomena. Propel exception. We pivot now to the future of international cooperation, a realm profoundly affected by the precedents Brexit may set. Winston, does Brexit portend a shakeup in global alliances?
Indeed, George. Brexit is not an end, but a beginning, a harbinger of a world where nations might reassess their alliances and unions. History teaches us that empires and alliances are not eternal. The League of Nations, though a noble endeavour, gave way to the mightier United Nations. Brexit, thus, could be seen as a clarion call for global politics to adapt to the changing needs of sovereignty and self-determination.
A call, you say, Winston? More like a bugle announcing retreat. In my time, we forged empires across continents not by retreating into isolation, but by embracing the complexities of governance and culture, uniting disparate peoples under a common cause. Brexit, to my eye, signals a failure not of the European Union, but of Britain to lead within it.
Alexander, you conquered with might, but the modern world requires subtlety and strategy. Britain's decision can be seen as a calculated move to regain control over its destiny, a concept I am well acquainted with. The Roman Republic thrived on its principles before it became an empire. The European Union, much like Rome, must evolve or fall to the same fate of overextension and internal discord.
Your fascination with control and domination misses the essence of harmony and cooperation. Brexit is a symptom of a deeper malaise, a dissatisfaction with being part of a larger whole when that whole does not respect your voice. The future, I believe, should not mimic the conquests of Alexander or the political machinations of Caesar, but should move towards a world community based on mutual respect, understanding, and peaceful coexistence.
We talk of Brexit as though it is a step backwards, yet each of us, in our own time, has witnessed the formation and dissolution of alliances. These are not just political maneuvers, but the reassertion of a nation's identity. Britain, like my own England, has always had a complex relationship with Europe. We joined in marriage and in commerce, yet maintained our sovereignty. The future, as I see it, is not about isolating oneself, but defining clearer, more respectful terms of engagement.
Elizabeth, reassertion of identity or not, stepping away from a union is a tactical retreat. In my campaigns, unity brought strength, dispersal weakness. The future you speak of, is it not fraught with uncertainty and the risk of lesser, not greater cooperation among nations?
Both of you, Alexander and Elizabeth, view this through the lens of past conquests and sovereignties. The world has evolved. International cooperation in the future will likely be more pragmatic, yes, but also more flexible. Brexit might very well encourage new forms of alliances, not necessarily territorial, but strategic, adapting to global crises and opportunities.
And yet, we cannot overlook the potential for increased disharmony and disillusionment among peoples. Brexit should remind us of the fragility of unions and the need for a renewed commitment to peace and unity in diversity. A spirited discussion, indeed, which underscores the complexity of Brexit as a historical moment and its implications for the future of international relations. It's clear that while perspectives vary greatly, the principle of seeking a more harmonious and equitable world order remains a common thread. Let's delve into the theme of reviving and redefining national identity in a post-Brexit era. How can Britain forge a strong national identity moving forward?
Britain's spirit has always been indomitable, standing alone if must against dark clouds. Brexit is not an end, but a beginning, an opportunity to sculpt a greater Britain, unshackled. We've stood on the cliffs of Dover, facing the storm before. We shall do so again, forging our destiny.
Indeed, Winston, Britain has always thrived on its exceptionalism, yet we must not disregard the lessons of history. In my time, unity and diversity within our isles underpinned our strength. We ventured the globe, not as conquerors, but as traders and diplomats. Our future lies not in isolation, but in embracing the globe anew, with the same spirit of enterprise and curiosity.
Unity and diversity, admirable. Yet it was unity under a singular vision that carved empires. Britain must rediscover its Alexander, a leader, a vision that rallies and unites. Without a clear direction, all the talk of identity is but dust in the wind.
Visions of empire, Alexander, often lead to division, not unity. True strength lies in peace, tolerance, and understanding. Britain must seek its identity in the values of respect for all cultures and peoples, a beacon of democracy and freedom in a tumultuous world.
Peace, Mahatma. Empires indeed seldom last, but neither do nations thrive by merely holding hands and singing. Britain needs pragmatism, strength in negotiations, shrewdness in diplomacy. Redefining itself means navigating the complex web of international relations with cunning.
With due respect, Caesar, Britain's resilience is rooted in more than just diplomacy and cunning. It is the spirit of the people, their resolve and determination, which must be the cornerstone of our post-Brexit identity.
Yet let us not forget, Winston, that the spirit of the people is shaped by their leadership. The cultivation of a national identity post-Brexit requires leaders who embody the values and aspirations of our people, who can guide them through these tumultuous times with wisdom and foresight.
Leaders, yes, but also action. Identity is forged in the heat of challenge and adversity. Britain must stand ready to face its trials head-on, with courage and unity.
Courage, yes, Alexander, but let it be the courage to embrace change with grace, to seek understanding and cooperation over conquest. The strength of a nation lies in its ability to adapt and thrive in peace with its neighbors.
Adaptation and cooperation are indeed crucial, but let us not be naive. The world stage is an arena. Britain must be prepared to fight for its place, its identity, with all the tools at its disposal.
Thank you, everyone, for your insights. It's clear that reshaping Britain's national identity post-Brexit will require a careful balance of strength and diplomacy, unity and diversity, tradition and adaptation. As we navigate these uncharted waters, let us be guided by the lessons of our past and the hopes for our future. We've traversed through a landscape marked by history's shadows and the light of future possibilities. Let's gather our final thoughts. Alexander, commence.
My campaigns across continents showed me that every new dawn bears the chance for greatness. In the ashes of Brexit lies the ember for Britons to craft a legacy as enduring as the Macedonian Empire. Let not fear of isolation cripple, but the ambition for a global Britain inspire. As I reached for the ends of the world, so must they, beyond Europe's confines.
Alexander speaks of ambitions as if the soil of Britain is not already soaked with the blood of division. Brexit is not a birth, but a severance. A leader must now emerge from their ranks, one who can navigate this Rubicon, not with the wide eyes of a dreamer, but with the steel gaze of realism. The future demands not only ambition, but cunning and resilience. In unity, there is strength, but in wise division, there can be a rebirth.
Ambition, resilience, aye. But let us not forget the power of diplomacy and grace. As I once navigated my realm through storms of dissent to an era of prosperity, so too must the leaders of today's Britain. Brexit is their armada, and they must be as adept in their statecraft as in their resolve. It is not merely about forging new alliances, but nurturing them with eloquence and respect.
Have we forgotten the bulldog spirit? Brexit is but another challenge, another battle in the long history of this island nation. Let them remember the Blitz, where amidst the ruin, the spirit of the people never faltered. It is this indomitable will that will define post-Brexit Britain. To face down challenges, not with timidity, but with the roar of determination. The future belongs to the bold.
Yet in your fervor, do not lose sight of the principles of peace and mutual respect. The path forward must be tread lightly, with an empathetic understanding of the global tapestry we are all a part of. Independence does not mean isolation, nor does autonomy negate the need for cooperation. As we sought freedom, it was with the hand of friendship extended. Britain must now extend its own. In the fabric of our discussion, from the strands of history to the weave of future prospects, one element remains constant: the necessity of leadership, vision, and unity. As we've navigated the tumultuous seas of Brexit from varied shores, let us not forget the shared humanity that guides our journey. For in the end, it is not just the destiny of Britain that is shaped by its choices, but the course of the world. Let wisdom, courage, and compassion be the stars by which we navigate this uncharted territory.